Hey y'all, it's Renegade, and let's spill some tea about this upcoming season of Survivor, shall we? Season 47 is upon us, and while it's still so insane that we are literally getting up to the same numbers as the digits of the Hunger Games, last season truly was a season to remember for better or for worse. And as always, there's no better way to start a new season, in my opinion, than to judge the cast arbitrarily off a few photos and sentences from their preseason press. One thing I will say about the game of Survivor: anyone can surprise you any given day. Here's still looking at you, Gabler. So, truth be told, anyone on this cast can take the win at the end of the day. But these are my takeaways heading into this new season, so whether you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. And as always, please like and subscribe to keep the tea spilling, y'all. Last season was a bit of a hot mess, and who would have known how unpredictable that endgame was really going to be? So, while I definitely didn't have 100% of my picks correct, including not getting Liz correct as the first boot, but really, who could have guessed Liz was going to be Liz at all, really? Oh my god, girl, I'm sorry for you catching that stray. I'll take you to Applebee's later, I promise. But on the positive end here, while I've learned the obvious downside of my system of having three winter contenders here, because two of them are more than likely to be picked off before the endgame for being too big of threats, at least I was able to clock Kenzie as a player to watch getting one of my three Bish seals of approval here. So that brings up the all important question, because with an emphasis on crafting narratives, season 47 will likely be one where players will want to leave their mark, especially with names still open on the ballot for Survivor 50. So, who will get the coveted Yas bitch seals of approval this season? Let's find out. Now we'll run through our 18 new castaways with my first impressions, going tribe by tribe, starting with the Gada tribe, who will always wear yellow, starting with Andy Rueda, 31, from Brooklyn, New York. He is an AI research assistant, and he's going to charm and disarm, as he says. It's literally Austin McCoon's older brother here. He says he's going to be the player most in tune with the social element of the game. He wants to be the parental figure to his late sister's son, so it's nice to see him have motivations to win outside the game that aren't just money, which is always important. He acknowledges his connection to Austin's second place game and will attempt to play a much more deceitful game. As such, I get the feeling that he might go out a lot earlier than Austin, considering that season 45, I think, was the last full season that these people officially saw. Austin is definitely going to be in their minds front and foremost, and I think Dee probably is well here too. So if Andy ends up cuddling up to a girl, I could definitely see him being someone that's going to be sniped out right away. So I personally see Andy as someone who's going to be a mid to end game character who kind of pops up a little bit around like the merge here officially. Is his threat level? It does seem like it's going to be very difficult to hide, especially amongst the rest of the cast. So, if he's planning on playing a deceitful game, I think he might have a hard time gaining allies to keep the support on him here. So, I'm a little worried for Andy overall, but I would love to see Andy do well. But as far as everything goes here, I'm going to be placing him somewhere around mid jury. Now, up next, we have 26-year-old marketing manager Anika Dhar from Los Angeles, California, and she describes herself as exuberant, curious, and calculated. She's put on her dating apps that she's convinced she's going to win Survivor and has been giving tons of responses from men that discredit her. So, she's actually a manager of finances and marketing for businesses, so she thinks those skills will translate here. And girl, it's season 47. I think it's very rare for your job even really matter that much anymore here, but it is nice to feel like she is something to prove here. Now, something I do connect with her on as well is growing up in a predominantly white neighborhood, being a person of color, and I think a lot of times things within yourself you tend to forget to embrace just because, they're not really talking points for your everyday life. So I love that Annika is feeling like she's primed to be her most authentic self. I'm just really worried for this yellow tribe overall, so while I want to like her as a strategic player, I feel like she'd be better suited maybe for Big Brother than Survivor, Well, I just think she might be able to socially get in with her tribe better than a few others. I just don't see much longevity for her, to be honest. I'm gonna put her as one of my first pre-juror boots, to be honest. And sorry, Annika, if you end up doing better, but I wish you to do nothing but surprise me here. Now, up next, we have former presidential speechwriter and TV writer, now podcast host, Jon Lovett. 42 years old from Los Angeles, California, and he has been all over the marketing for this season. If this was not throwing back a bit to when they cast Jimmy Johnson on Survivor Nicaragua, I don't know what else would, but this is probably the most well known individual to play the US Survivor since the new era has begun. He compares Final Tribal Council to a political election, but in order to prepare for those Final Tribal Council speeches, you do have to be there on finale night. And why do I feel like Jon has preacher written all over him? He's giving me someone who will likely be a big presence, but not a super strong presence. And especially within his tribe, he's one of like two or three people that I just feel like are going to stick out like a sore thumb right from the start. I get the feeling this yellow tribe is likely going to be that tribe that struggles early on if they're not able to get an initial win or two. So when those tribes are likely to only see max three people make the merge, I just don't get the feeling Jon is going to be that individual. But I mean, like I did say Nami was going to be the disaster tribe last season, and we saw how that turned out. So I could just see him being a very obvious target at really any stage of the game due to his notoriety. So I would be very surprised if he was able to make it any deeper than Jeff Kent's first juror on Survivor Philippines. So I'm actually gonna have him being taken out as one of the mergatory votes here because he may luck into the chance of him getting to the merge, but I just don't see him getting any further than that. Up next, we have Rachel Lamont, 34 years old from Southfield, Missouri, and she's a graphic designer that loves people, games, challenging herself, and money. So obviously, she loves Survivor. She wants to be very under the radar here, feeling like she's very quirky and over the top, wants to ride the middle as much as possible. And, oh no, girl, is this giving me red flags from Jess from season 46 all over again? And this worries me, especially in a smaller tribe. I just didn't get very much from her in her interview, to be honest. She just doesn't seem like she's in her element 100% either, and I get to see her being sacrificed early in the pre-merge to attempt to save her tribe's strength. I just don't get longevity I that I really would want from her here, but I do think she has a chance to scrap by a few days if players like Anika or Jon are seen as bigger liabilities than she is. Ultimately, I don't have any faith of them, honestly, so I'm just gonna put her as a pre-juror as well, and perhaps I will give her the distinction of being our possible first boot, which means for sure one of these three people are about to get a Lizard. That brings us to Sam Phalen, 24 years old from Nashville, Tennessee, and he's a sports reporter and he wants to win individual immunity, not an idol. His first memory is watching Survivor Cook Islands, and his idol clearly here is Ozzy, and he remembers seeing Ozzy lose. And he has ingrained at that moment here that sports and Survivor is him. So, him not being able to become a professional athlete, he wanted to stay in the industry as a sports reporter. He's also done drama and connection and he lets like poetry. He feels his feelings. He's giving me lots of Jake vibes here, being a little bit of the younger end here. But also the fact that he wants Ozzy to be his role model. Nothing against Ozzy here, but when you're just going full out physical here as your game plan, that worries me a bit because we all know Ozzy was not the best strategist, and you don't necessarily need the best strategic game here, but in the new era, I worry about just relying on your physicality. So, I will say I do see Sam being probably that typical guy who gets to the merge and then becomes an immediate target. So I have him going out here as probably our first or second juror. Now, right behind him, our final member of the Gotta tribe is Sierra Wright, and she's 26 years old and a nurse from Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. And she's someone I definitely think Painless is going to pick on his draft team. I mean, come on now. She is a surgical nurse here, too, which shows that she does have, some brains behind the blonde there, which is nice. She also says that she's a very fun time here, and I guess she has a lot of energy, and I think people will actually really like being around here. She seems very, very smart here, and seems like someone that will be very good at listening to other people as well here. She is a former Miss Delaware and has played softball pretty much her whole life. So she believes that she's born to play the game of Survivor. And she also has another reason to play outside here that's noted here that she wants to play for her dad. That was really inspiring through his chemo process that he had to go through shortly before he passed here. And it's a situation here where I see Sierra actually being probably the one player on this tribe if this trial was to go down in flames, that I see having the best chance of surviving here. I can't say that I have full faith on her making it to the end, though, so she is someone that I see leaving just outside my top five here, because I get the feeling that while she's going to be good at connections, I again have no faith here that the Seattle tribe will likely have the numbers moving into the merge, but if she's able to get into a position where she has lots of power here, I could actually see Sierra doing really well. So I'm still going to put her down here as probably our late mid jury boot. Let's continue next with the Lavo tribe, who always wear red, beginning with Aysha Welch, 32 years old from Houston, Texas, and is an IT consultant. And oh my god, I am so excited for Aysha to be here. Obviously, I am a huge fan of Rob Has a Podcast, so seeing Aysha here feels like such a no-brainer as the player that I'm rooting for the most, 1,000,000%. But I have to make prediction videos, right? I have to go with my gut and my thoughts and my wants and my desires. And there's part of me that just Asia is just the perfect representative from the podcast community to make a deep run in a game like this, which is just such a fun contrast to someone maybe like John on the Yellow Tribe. But the more I look at the Red Tribe, the more worried I am that they definitely have some weak links here and there that need to be picked off before they can truly be competitive. So I'm a little worried Asia may have to show her threat level a lot earlier than maybe she wants to in order to get things done to keep her tribe competitive, but also advantageous for her in the long run. Obviously, I don't think she's going to have any issues with the social game, but if she's recognized, it definitely makes me worry that she could be seen as an endgame threat that will need to be taken out. I'll be real though. These picks are all for fun, so sometimes I'm going to go with what I want to have happen, and let's just go ahead and give Asia the first of this season's Yas bitch seals of approval because ultimately I want her to win. Though if she ends up as this season's last true threat that gets taken off the board on finale night, I wouldn't be surprised. But let's not speak that to existence. Oh, even though I won't be editing this out though. Up next, we have 32-year-old Genevieve Mushaluk, a corporate lawyer from Winnipeg, saying that she's a terrible liar and will be very grateful if she's here on day four. And oh no, do not speak that into existence. You saw how that happened to Randon last time, and now, oh no. Just hope Bonnie was not there to wish a curse upon you, Genevieve. But she's really giving me some Maddie energy, maybe like second coming of Big Brother Canada One's Liza, and she's just not somebody that I don't know if she is as strategic as she wants to be, or maybe if she is super strategic that she won't be as influential as she wants to be, because she just not seem very confident in herself with her confessionals like that. She says she won't tell anybody she's a lawyer because she thinks that will make her a threat, but I just don't think lawyer energy ever was important, to be honest. Otherwise, yeah, one of them would have actually won Survivor 45 instead of being a no vote finalist at best. Even though I love you, Jake, you're still my winner pick from that season and will always be. But this is all to say, Genevieve, you in danger, girl. Like I said, if she's not the first or second person out from her tribe, I would be very shocked. So hopefully here for her, she's gonna hope that Lava goes on a winning streak here, because otherwise I'd be very, very shocked if she would get out of the pre-jury here. Up next, we have Kishan Patel, 27 years old from San Francisco, California, and he's an ER doctor that says he's adorable and used to dealing with the chaos. He came out after becoming a doctor. He seems likable enough, but this guy is definitely going to be the weakest on his tribe in challenges, without a doubt. Looking at the other men on his tribe here, will his charm be enough to get him through, though? Will he be able to have a Todd run from Survivor 15? All signs to me if they were larger tribes, would point to yes, but with New Era Survivor, I'm a bit worried for him, to be honest. And I gotta say again, with Red Tribe being slightly, maybe even weaker than the Yellow Tribe, but maybe a lot more strategic and cohesive as far as like a group here, as far as what I'm getting as this energy, it's possible Kashawn may be somebody that they want to keep around for a little bit, but I'm just a little worried that his positive energy is not going to be enough to get him to the merge. So I'm going to put Kishan personally here at the pre-jury. Now we have Rome Cooney next. He's 30 years old, and he's an esports commentator. Really cool job here. From Phoenix, Arizona, and calls himself the Jeff Probst of video games. He casts Fortnite tournaments, and he thinks he's going to be seen as very loud. But he says he has a high IQ that's probably going to be underestimated, but he does think he's going to be one of the biggest threats to win. And I do think Rome can possibly come off here with a Davy arc where he does have a very strong mid game and he could possibly make a very strong run for the end, depending on what the end game challenges are. But I'm a little worried here that he's not going to be someone that's going to be able to fly under the radar. I mean, he's confirming himself out. He's very loud. So they're never going to forget that Rome is there. So he's not going to be able to be someone who flies under the radar, unfortunately. And I think because of that, I do have him being someone taken out probably in the mid jury phase of the game. Our next member of the Lavos tribe is Solomon Sol Yee, 42 years old, and he's a medical device salesman from Norwalk, Connecticut. And he helps people with neurosurgery. He's won over $200,000 in poker tournaments, so he believes his strength is that he's going to be able to take the emotion out of the game. I like this duality he has between him being seemingly wholesome. A doctor or medical salesman here, with the side of him that's also able to embrace the game for what it is, a game. I really liked Solomon's intro package, and he just really seemed like he could be influential without being too threatening due to his age. He just seemed very in tune with everything I just want from a Survivor player. Definitely not someone who we usually have from like the older archetype here as like a Roxroy that we've come to know here. He does not give me that energy at all whatsoever. So I'm a little worried he could embrace the villain role a bit. He doesn't seem like the guy who would leave himself vulnerable after making a big power move. He doesn't seem like he would necessarily get too cocky. He seems like he would always be a little bit cautious here with what he's doing. So I like that kind of knowledge and way that you kind of look at the game here. So just he checks all the right boxes here for me. I'm gonna do it. I'm going all in here. Solomon Yee is my second Yas bitch seal of approval winner pick this season. Now that takes us to Teeny Chirichillo. She is the final member of the Lavos tribe. She's 23 from Manahawkin, New Jersey, and is a freelance writer. And she says she's going to be a social player, saying she grew up from a young age wanting to dress more masculine, but didn't want to get the attention for it. So she feels she's good at befriending really anybody. Calls herself the pickpocket from the Oliver Twist universe, stealing their trust, hearts, and their spot in Final Three. But why do I get the feeling this pickpocket might not be as good as she seems? If she's really good at hiding, it's entirely possible Teeny really will make a deep run into this game. But there's been a recent precedent that we've seen in recent seasons, especially in the Mergatory boot. It has become an under the radar female who is really the least connected to the group, which feels like it could have Teeny's name written all over it if she's not as connected as I'm not sure she's going to be. It's entirely possible here she proves me wrong here, but I'm just going to go by the president and say that this season Teeny will be the victim of the Mergatory boot. So that's what's stopping me from really giving her a placement much too higher. Now, last but not least, let's end things off with the Tuku tribe, who will always wear blue, starting off with Caroline Vidmar. She's 27 years old and is a strategy consultant from Chicago, Illinois, and she's also a former water polo player, so she'll definitely be a fighter and will keep swimming as players continue to bring her down underwater. Now, she thinks she'll come off a lot more sweet and unassuming than she is, and says she's actually going to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. And I kind of really like that about her. She has an energy about her, though, that can be a little much, just a teeny bit much, because she kind of gives off a little bit of that younger female archetype that sometimes pops up. That, sometimes she wants to give her opinion on absolutely everything, even if it might not be something she knows really anything about just so she comes off as contributing a little bit like a kind of a namesake here, Carolina from Survivor Token Teams. But I don't know if she's gonna actually be that type here. She seems like she might have a little bit more game savviness than to just go all in full in with her personality, if that is even her personality really to begin with. So I'm hoping here that she has a little bit more of like a maybe Kathy from Survivor Marques's upside here, with just maybe a little quirky assertiveness here in the beginning. I do think again she's going to be very game savvy and gritty enough to scrap her way to the merge, but I get the feeling again she may have maybe some Tory Survivor 42 downside in her that takes her out as places to hide in the jury phase become smaller and smaller. So I do kind of have Caroline being that she seems very athletic, being one of those pretty athletic early boots here, unfortunately, in the jury phase. That takes us here to Gabe Ortis. He's 26 years old and he's a radio show host from Baltimore, Maryland. And he's not here to make friends, okay, Sam Smith? He's the youngest of two older brothers. He said he will cut corners and lie, cheat, and steal. He's going to be the villain, but maybe a pre jury villain if he actually does come in with this mindset. And I don't actually mind this mindset here, but I do get the worry that he's not going to be able to hide this side of him if he actually does come in trying to be this cold hearted, because the biggest problem here is his demeanor, his energy, everything about him, to me, reads as a schemer. I said that about Charlie last season, and we saw how no one was able to clock Charlie at all being the true strategist, so who knows really what we'll get this season. He just sort of gives me that energy, like I said, that he could be maybe a very easy vote early on because everyone else bonds closer to each other than they do this guy. I'm not sure how physically strong he will be in the challenges, but he does look like maybe he could be a good muscle person here. Who knows? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm not sure how much outdoorsy experience he has here, so I'm not sure how he's going to acclimate. I don't know. He just gives me more of like the kind of guy that they throw on the show that's not acclimated to the elements, but is acclimated to the strategy game. So he's giving me that candidate is the most likely first boot for the blue tribe here. So I would not be surprised if he goes early, but I would also not be surprised if he talked his way out of it. I'm going to go ahead and commit, though, one way or another, and say Gabe will be a pre-jury boot. Now I'm going to go a little out of order with our next picks as we get closer and closer to our final picks here. And I'm going to come next here with TK Foster. He's 31 years old from Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and he's an athlete marketing manager. Now, he's giving me Q energy if Q had Survivor 43 Ryan's backstory, and he seems just very charming and likable. He was diagnosed at an early age with SGS and had 50% kidney failure and was told by three different doctors he wasn't going to be able to make it. But I mean, obviously, he's on the show, so clearly he's able to beat the odds. Like, this man is going to be determined. He was unable to continue his career in football and now works as an athlete marketing manager in the sport he loves, very similar to somebody else on the cast, so he's definitely going to volunteer with Sam. He definitely is oozing with a lot of charisma, which makes me worried because players like that are usually clocked close to the merge as players you just cannot make deep runs with. So he's got to be my first juror pick for that very reason. He's reading very athletic. He's going to definitely be somebody that maybe might show himself a little too much in the early phase and then get sniped out very early on once everybody's together here because he just won't have anywhere to hide any further here. So that's what stopped me from putting TK any higher, but he might have some Q upside and just go all crazy to the end game. Who knows? Now, we have three remain, and if you haven't been keeping track at home, let me tell you, out of the three I've yet to speak about, one of them is my final winner pick, but the other two I have ranked very high as I've not given away those, officially coveted finale fallen goddesses spot yet. So let's reveal one of the three that I might have the least faith in out of everybody, and that is Sue Smey. She's 58 from Putnam Valley, New York, and she's a flight school owner. And this is not because of her age, because let me tell you, I do believe she has what it takes to be remembered as the oldest woman to ever win Survivor. She's a pilot who owns a flight school and wants to empower women, and she's going to be underestimated, she thinks, because of her age, and she wants to prove that she's stronger than she looks. And clearly, she's hella smart if she's a pilot. Just got to say that right off the bat, and very disciplined as well too. But I do think she's gonna definitely be a lot stronger than she looks, and I see her maybe starting a little bit behind, but she's going to definitely start a very early women's alliance here to keep her safe. Probably until the merge. Hopefully it'll work out. The Blue Tribe loves to make their women's alliance storylines happen from day one and then just never follow through on it. Maybe Sue will be the first. Who knows? Or otherwise, she goes the way of Lindsay, but I'm not going to put that out there. I would love to see her get to the merge because after she gets to the early game, which will be really her most vulnerable part, she seems like the person that would make a very deep run towards the end game. I struggle to commit to 100% just because, again, she will have the hardest pre-merge struggle out of those that are left here and still in the running to be picked. So I'm going to say right now, Sue is my pick for fourth place Fallen Goddess. So Kyle, Tiana. I went back and forth with these two. One of them will be my prediction for the final five boot, while the other will be my final finalist selection. Let's start off here with Kyle Ostwald. He's 31 years old from Sheboygan, Michigan, and he's a construction worker. And this guy is likable. He's very inspired by his wife, going as far as to demolish the old home he grew up in poverty in to become the new home where him and his family live now. He gives a lot of very genuine energy, but I also don't think he's an idiot either. He's definitely guaranteed to get to the merge, I feel like. And I want to say I could see him lasting for quite a bit of time since he just feels like he's going to lock in with people from his OG tribe and likely others after the merge here. Like, he just seems like he's going to be a fan favorite. He's giving me so much good energy. There's a lot of JT upside to him. I do worry if he's going to be that guy who's going to be able to betray his best ally, or if he's just going to ride to the end as a loyal vote. But even if he does play the loyal card, I could see him just being really likable enough to the point where he could sweep the votes anyway. So I'm going to give him my official last Yassssss seal of approval winner pick this season. And that means rounding out our cast, someone who I think is very posed for a very, very, very deep run this season that may ultimately come up short. It's Tiyana Hallums. She's 27 years old from Aiya, Hawaii, and she's a flight attendant. She wants to capitalize on the Hawaiian stereotype that you just want to vibe when in reality you're cutting throats. She says she's committed to constantly growing and evolving, starting out as a Division One college athlete, has a master's in educational leadership, and while she is currently a flight attendant for Hawaiian Airlines, she eventually wants to become a pilot, which, girl, got the achievements now, because you had me just saying that you were a college athlete with a relevant degree. She says that she was an alternate for season 45, possibly becoming a replacement for Hannah had she not succumbed to her vape needs sooner. And there's something about this girl I really, really like. My only fear here is that she mentions being a little quick to anger, so I just worry that she may start to rely on her emotions a bit more than her strategy. But I also feel like she seems so disciplined in so many ways, shapes, and forms that I'm immediately charmed and intrigued to see more. I do worry that she may end up following a similar arc to Maria, where she plays the first half of the game amazingly, and then things go wrong with her at the start of the end game. So, as much as I want to go all in on Tiana, I do get the slight hesitation, but I'd love for nothing for her to prove me wrong. But for right now, she will be my fifth place fallen goddess. So, there's my tier list, y'all. I have Rachel, Anika, Kishan, Genevieve, and Gabe being pre-merge, Teeny and John going out in the Mergatory, TK, Sam, Caroline, Rome, Andy, and Sierra making up the early jurors, while Sue and Tiana end the game as our fallen goddesses' final four or five boots. That leaves my top three favorites to win is Asia, Kyle, and Soul. And I'll probably be horribly wrong. But who knows? I'm excited to see. But what are your thoughts here? Let me know in the comments down below who your top three winner picks are, and make sure to like and subscribe for more content for what is sure to be yet another amazing installment of Survivor when it premieres this Wednesday, September 18th, as well as the return of the Survivor Reality Recap podcast series. That's a mouthful. But hope y'all loved it here, especially y'all lasted this long. But until next time, y'all, this is Renegade signing out. But remember, keep spilling that tea, y'all. Bye!